All right, welcome back. So, if you thought the world of AI was already moving at a breakneck speed, well, this past week just hit the accelerator. We're talking about a complete system upgrade across the board. We've got some absolutely massive developments to get through, everything from world champion AIs to, believe it or not, mind-reading glasses. So, let's just jump right in.
And it really makes you stop and think, right? I mean, how much can really change in just 7 days, a week? It sounds like a short amount of time. But, as you're about to see, the answer is, well, pretty much everything. Let's get into it.
Okay, to make sense of this absolute explosion of news, we've broken it all down into 5 key themes for you. First, we'll take a look at this week's AI Pulse. Then we'll dive into the new AI power tools, followed by AI meets the real world. After that, we'll hit some incredible superhuman AI milestones. And we'll wrap it all up with a look at the future and the risks. So let's kick things off with our first section, taking the pulse of AI. We've got some brand new data from OpenAI and Anthropic, and it gives us this really fascinating snapshot of how millions of people are actually using this technology right now.
And what's really interesting is that we're seeing this clear split emerge. It's like 2 different paths are being carved out. On one hand, you've got Claude, which is really becoming the go-to tool for developers. I mean, it's all about the code. But on the other hand, you have ChatGPT, and its users are leaning much more into things like writing and decision support. Getting advice. And it's not just what they're used for, it's where. ChatGPT's adoption is exploding, growing a whopping 4 times faster in lower and middle income countries.
But, this right here might be the most surprising trend of all. I mean, just look at that jump. We're seeing personal, non-work-related use of ChatGPT skyrocket. It now makes up nearly 3/4 of all messages. The takeaway here is huge. AI is quickly shifting from being just a tool for work to becoming a real personal companion. Okay, so let's move on to our next section. Because now that we know how people are using AI, let's talk about the brand new, powerful tools for creators and developers that just landed this week. And first up, wow, OpenAI's new GPT-5 Codex is an absolute monster. We're talking over 50% better at handling really complex coding tasks. And get this, on simple tasks, it's so efficient it cuts the amount of data it needs to process, the token usage, by a staggering 94%. But the real game changer, it can now run on its own for over 7 hours, reviewing and testing its own code as it works. That's incredible. Now, for all the visual creators out there, a company called Reve is tackling what's been a huge challenge, making AI image editing actually intuitive. You know how hard it can be to tweak an AI image? Well, their new platform lets you just use plain English or even just drag and drop to make these super precise edits. It's almost like editing a Word doc, but for an image, and it does it all without messing up the original. Okay, this next one could seriously change how we shop online forever. Google just rolled out a new framework that basically lets AI agents buy things for you, securely. It's a really smart 2-step process. First, you give the AI an intent mandate. That's just permission to go look around and browse. Then, and this is the crucial part, you give it a final cart mandate to actually complete the purchase. This simple 2-step approval system is what could make AI shoppers a safe reality. So, okay. We've got all these incredible new power tools, but the big question is, how are they actually showing up in the stuff we use every single day? And that brings us perfectly to our third section, AI meets the real world. First up, a really important safety update from OpenAI. To better protect teenage users on ChatGPT, they're rolling out some new features. The system will now try to estimate a user's age based on their conversation patterns, and if it thinks you're a teen, it'll apply new default safety settings. This includes things like parental controls and automatically blocking chats about sensitive topics like self-harm or anything explicit. Meanwhile, over at YouTube, they just unleashed a massive new AI toolkit for their creators. I mean, this is a big deal. You can now generate shorts for free using their VO3 fast model. You can auto-dub your videos into 20 different languages, and the AI even syncs the lips. It can also automatically chop up your long-form videos into vertical shorts. And as if that's not enough, there's an Ask Studio chatbot to help you figure out your analytics. But forget about typing or even talking to your tech for a second. What if you could control it, not with your voice, not with your hands, but just by thinking about it? Well, that's pretty much the promise behind Meta's incredible new smart glasses. Now, the star of the show here is something called the neural band,
And to be clear, it's not actually reading your mind. What it does is detect the tiny electrical signals in your muscles right before you move. This lets you control things with just the slightest, almost invisible intention. And this new tech comes with some major hardware boosts, like doubling the battery life in the new Ray-Bans and even a whole new Oakley line for athletes.
Okay, we're going to shift gears now. We've been talking about consumer tech, but let's move on to some truly mind-blowing milestones. I'm talking about moments from this past week where AI didn't just help humans, it officially left them in the dust.
And here's Exhibit A. At the World Finals for Competitive Programming, this is basically the Olympics for coders, an OpenAI model stepped up and did the impossible. It got a perfect score, solving all 12 problems. The very best human team in the world, they solved 11. I mean, the conclusion is just undeniable. Competitive programming as a human versus machine contest is officially over. AI has solved it.
So what's with this number, 1,258? Well, this is just incredible. This is the number of different medical conditions that a new AI system called Delphi 2M can predict for a single person. And not just predict, but forecast, all at the same time, looking up to 20 years into their future. It does this by scanning health records, spotting these tiny warning signs for literally everything from cancer to diabetes, long before a human doctor ever could.
And this kind of superhuman intelligence is about to change something we all do every day, browsing the web. Google is embedding Gemini so deeply into Chrome that it's going to feel totally different. You know how you have a search box and then your tabs? Well, now there's going to be a native Gemini button that can analyze what's happening across all your open tabs at once. And the address bar itself is getting an AI mode, so you can have these complex, back-and-forth conversations right there. The AI is no longer just a little sidebar. It's becoming the core of how you browse.
But you know, for all the tech breakthroughs, maybe the most profound one happened in biology. This week, for the first time, an AI was used to design completely new functional viruses from scratch. And this quote from the Arc Institute just says it all. The transition from reading and writing genomes to designing them represents a new chapter in our ability to engineer biology at its foundational level. We are now designing life. So all of this unbelievable progress, it naturally brings us to our final and maybe most critical section. When things are moving this fast, we absolutely have to stop and ask, okay, what's coming next? And what are the real stakes here? Well, looking ahead, a company called Luma AI just gave us a glimpse with Ray 3. They're calling it the first reasoning video model. So what does that mean? It means it doesn't just blindly generate a video for you. It actually critiques its own work and refines it over and over until it hits a certain quality standard. This idea of an AI that can self-evaluate its own creative output, that is a completely new dynamic. Of course, all this innovation is just unbelievably expensive, and it's creating this massive dilemma for the entire tech industry, which Mark Zuckerberg captured perfectly. He basically said, a collapse of the AI boom is definitely a possibility. He admits it could be a bubble, but the risk of underinvesting is an even greater strategic danger. And he's not just talking, he's backing that up with a pledge of $600 billion for AI infrastructure. And believe me, the big bets just keep on coming. We're now hearing that OpenAI is making a huge move into hardware. They're planning a whole line of screen-free devices. The first one is supposed to be a smart speaker, slated for late 2026 or early 2027. And to build it, they are reportedly teaming up with Johnny Ive, the legendary former design chief from Apple. That tells you everything you need to know about how seriously they're taking this. So when you put it all together, the insane levels of spending, these new hardware ambitions from companies like OpenAI, major moves like Microsoft embedding AI right into the Windows taskbar, you're left with the one single massive question. With this much money and this much momentum on the line, are we building a genuine world-changing breakthrough, or are we inflating the biggest tech bubble in history?